Hi, I'm a parent of a 9-year-old boy. He's got multiple disabilities and complex medical needs. I've got hundreds of questions, but I'm going to just sum it up with one. And I know that the two major parties have been disputing about the argument about who pays and buck passing and so on. And you've got to understand that that's meaningless to us and it's irrelevant and it's your problem and it's your job to sort it out. What I want to know is from both of you, do you commit to injecting a significant amount of money, not just to give us $600 once or twice a year, that when you're saving up for a modified vehicle worth $60,000 or $70,000 makes absolutely no difference? So will either of you commit to giving enough money to make a significant difference to all the problems that have been mentioned today and, as you've acknowledged, have existed for years and years and years, with little baby steps being made? We need big steps, and will either of you commit to making some big steps?
I do acknowledge that there are big steps that need to be made. What we have injected is 55% increase over what the Commonwealth has ever done before. Now, they are big steps in anyone's terms. We haven't even started to implement that yet, and that does need to be implemented. It means that we have to actually develop the services for autism. We have to actually put into the field people that have mental illnesses, and they are only going to tender or have just gone to tender recently. We have to actually build the respite care. We actually have to get into place the services that will allow proper supported accommodation. What we've also said to the states is that we will support them, and WA did come to the party to meet their full unmet need. What you're referring to in regard to modifications to houses and modifications to cars, no, I don't have a chequebook that I can give to you today and say I will meet those needs. They are some of the things that are currently in the CSTDA. There isn't enough money in there, and I am not going to be able to give you a commitment of an unlimited chequebook. I wish I could, but the reality is that the $2 billion plus that we've announced in the last few months is such an enormous increase on where we've been. I need to actually get that going and moving, and the Prime Minister made the statement when he launched with me the autism package that that is not it. It's not over, that's not the complete package, but it is that having to be implemented now. So I will not stand before you here and give you a commitment that I can do the things that you've asked, as much as I would love to be in a position to do so, but simply to say I'll continue to advocate as much as I can to build on the start that we've made.
I can remember a few years ago in my life in the Parliament, I've been there since 1996, two families in fact from my electorate, came to me within a month of each other, quite disassociated from each other, both of them with the same problem, and that was that they had young children, a young child each, at that stage at primary school age in both cases, both with cerebral palsy, both with the increasing need for wheelchair use, and both facing the issue of when the child gets older and bigger, that they can no longer lift them in and out of a car, and that they need to somehow access cost affordable vehicle, alteration, what do you call it, the pack of conversion pack, and so on. And this all happened, and I'm not getting into a blame thing here, I'm going to actually reverse from that, but this all came around the time of the GST implication, when there was a question about how the GST would or would not affect, in fact, taxation on complementary bits to those conversion packs for cars. And we had an enormous discussion in our party at the time. Now, I know that some of that question was solved, but I also know some of it wasn't. And it's still on the table. Like the minister, I'm not even a shadow minister, I'm a mere backbencher. I'm even less able to give you a cheque-book commitment. But what I can give you is an absolute commitment that I and we really do understand that we need to get on with this issue. And I'm pleased to think that in the Rudd Shadow Ministry, we actually have a Shadow Minister, Bob McMullen, who is the Shadow Minister for Commonwealth State Territory Government Relations. And the reason he's got that job is primarily to sort out the blame game stuff that goes on between the two tiers of government. That's his job. And part of his job is the disability sector. I just want to say, along with Rachel, who is a convener, I'm a member of the Parliamentary Friends of People with Disability. Rachel is one of the conveners of that group, and these are the sorts of things across party lines that we talk about in the Parliament on a constant basis and will continue to do.
unfortunately, the Greens aren't going to be in government at this election. So I can't promise you, I could promise you the world, but I wouldn't be able to deliver it. But what I would like to just ask people to think about is that yes, it is a question of where we can find the money, but it's also a question of making the hard decisions about where to allocate the money. And certainly the Greens are arguing very strongly that we think most people would probably prefer better services than $34 billion worth of tax cuts, because that's a small amount of money in people's pockets. But $34 billion worth of tax cuts would buy you an awful lot of disability services and support.